The Galactic Academy's surprise guest. The grand lecture hall of the Galactic Academy buzzed with excited chatter as students from 100 different species settled into their seats. Holographic displays flickered to life, projecting the day's schedule in a dozen different languages. At the center of it all stood Professor Zixlara, her iridescent scales shimmering with anticipation. "Silence, please," she called out, her melodic voice amplified by the room's acoustic enhancements. The cacophony of alien voices gradually faded. "Today, we have a most unusual guest lecturer. For the first time in the Academy's history, we welcome a representative from a Class 12 Deathworld." A collective gasp rippled through the audience. Tentacles writhed, antennae twitched, and bioluminescent patches flashed in surprise. Class 12 worlds were the stuff of legends, planets so inhospitable that most galactic citizens believed them incapable of producing sapient life. "Please welcome Professor Sarah Chen of Earth," Zixlara announced, gesturing towards the side entrance with one of her 4 arms. The doors slid open, and a bipedal figure stepped into the room. The alien students leaned forward, eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, wide with curiosity. Professor Chen was shorter than many had expected, with dark hair pulled back into a neat bun and eyes that sparkled with intelligence. She wore a simple blue suit that seemed to confuse many of the students, who were used to more flamboyant attire. "Greetings, everyone," Sarah said, her voice warm and confident. "I'm here to tell you about my homeworld, Earth. But before I begin, I'd like to ask you all a question. What's the most dangerous thing you've encountered on your home planets?" A Floatian student near the front raised a tentacle. "On my world, we must be wary of the great sky jellies that descend during our third moon's apex. Their sting can paralyze a full-grown Floatian for days." Sarah nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "That sounds challenging. Anyone else?" A crystalline being chimed in, its facets glittering. "On Quartz Prime, we fear the sonic storms that can shatter our outer layers if we're not careful." "Interesting," Sarah mused. "Well, let me tell you about some of Earth's everyday dangers. You might want to hold onto your various appendages for this one." The alien students leaned in, a mixture of skepticism and curiosity evident on their faces. "On Earth," Sarah began, pacing back and forth, "we have these wonderful inventions called cars. They're metal boxes on wheels that we climb into and propel down strips of hardened petroleum at speeds of up to 120 kilometers per hour. Sometimes, these cars collide with each other, or with stationary objects, resulting in what we call accidents." A ripple of disbelief ran through the audience. A gelatinous being in the back row burbled, "Surely you jest, Professor Chen. No sapient species would willingly place themselves in such danger." Sarah chuckled. "Oh, but we do. In fact, we have billions of these vehicles, and we let almost anyone operate them after a simple test that barely scratches the surface of the required skills." Professor Zixlara's scales had paled considerably. "Professor Chen, are you saying that your people routinely risk their lives for transportation?" "That's correct," Sarah nodded. "But that's just the beginning. Let me tell you about our weather." For the next hour, Sarah regaled the increasingly horrified class with tales of Earth's meteorological mayhem. She described tornadoes that could lift houses, hurricanes that could flood entire cities, and earthquakes that could swallow buildings whole. "But surely," a multi-eyed being near the front protested, "your people have developed advanced protective measures against such calamities." Sarah's grin widened. "Well, for tornadoes, we have an ingenious system. We sound a loud siren, which basically tells everyone to run to the lowest point they can find and hope for the best." The alien students exchanged glances of disbelief and growing respect. How could any species survive, let alone thrive, in such conditions? As if reading their thoughts, Sarah continued, "You see, it's not just about survival. Humans have a fascinating quality called adaptability. We take these dangers and turn them into opportunities. Those tornadoes I mentioned, We study them to better understand our atmosphere. Earthquakes have led to advancements in building technology and geological understanding. A small furry creature in the front row chirped nervously, but surely not all of Earth is so perilous. Sarah laughed, a sound that sent shivers through several of the more empathic species in the room. Oh, my sweet, naive friend. Let me tell you about our wildlife. For the remainder of the lecture, Sarah painted a vivid picture of Earth's biological terrors. She described Australia's venomous menagerie, the Amazon's predatory fish, and Africa's large carnivores. She spoke of plants that could cause excruciating pain with a single touch, insects that could kill with one sting, and fungi that could take over minds. By the time she finished, the alien students sat in stunned silence, their various appendages and sensory organs still trying to process what they'd heard. But here's the thing, Sarah said, her voice softening. Yes, Earth is dangerous. Yes, we face threats every day that would make most species run screaming for the nearest escape pod. But it's precisely because of these dangers that we become who we are. She paced slowly across the front of the classroom, her gaze sweeping over the alien students. The constant challenges we face have forced us to innovate, to adapt, to overcome. We've developed technologies to predict natural disasters, medicines to counteract venoms, and strategies to mitigate risks. Our literature, our art, our very culture is shaped by our struggle against these forces. A holographic student flickered uncertainly. But why not simply leave? Surely there are safer planets in the galaxy. Sarah's laugh echoed through the classroom. Leave? Oh no. You see, Earth isn't just a dangerous ball of rock hurtling through space. It's our home. It's where we were born, where we evolved, where we learned to stand up and say, "Is that all you've got?" to the universe. She leaned forward, her voice dropping to a near whisper. And let me tell you a secret. All those dangers I mentioned, they're not even the scariest things on Earth. The class leaned in, equal parts terrified and fascinated. The scariest thing on Earth, Sarah said, her eyes glinting, is us, humans. We're the apex predators, the ones who looked at all those deadly creatures and natural disasters and said, "Challenge accepted." We're the ones who climb mountains because they're there, who dive into the deepest oceans just to see what's at the bottom, who launch ourselves into space on controlled explosions because we want to know what's out there. A collective shiver ran through the alien students. But don't worry, Sarah added with a wink. We're mostly harmless. Unless, of course, you threaten our planet, our loved ones, or our coffee supply. Then all bets are off. As the human professor concluded her lecture, the alien students sat in stunned silence, their worldviews irrevocably altered. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive species from a backwater death world. Instead, they found themselves reevaluating their place in the galaxy, faced with the realization that perhaps they had underestimated the potential of life to thrive in even the harshest conditions. And as they filed out of the lecture hall, many couldn't help but glance nervously at the seemingly harmless human in their midst, wondering what other surprises the species from Earth might have in store for the galaxy. Earth's mundane hazards. The grand lecture hall of the Galactic Academy was abuzz with excitement as the alien students filed back in for the second part of Professor Sarah Chen's lecture on Earth. The previous session had left them reeling, their perceptions of what constituted a habitable world thoroughly shaken. As Sarah took her place at the podium, a hush fell over the room. Even Professor Zixlara, her scales still pale from the previous lecture, leaned forward in anticipation. "Welcome back, everyone," Sarah began, her eyes twinkling. "I hope you've had time to process our last discussion. Today, we're going to delve deeper into what humans consider everyday hazards on Earth." A nervous titter ran through the audience. What could possibly be more terrifying than what they'd already heard? Sarah pulled up a holographic display, showing a bustling city street. This is New York City, one of Earth's largest urban centers. Can anyone spot the dangers? The alien students peered at the image, their various sensory organs straining. After a moment of silence, a bioluminescent blob near the front pulsed hesitantly. The large metal containers on wheels. The cars you mentioned. Good eye. Sarah nodded. Yes, the cars are certainly a risk. But what else? Silence reigned as the students scrutinized the image. Sarah waited patiently, a small smile playing on her lips. Finally, she continued, "Let me give you a human's perspective. Those tall structures. We call them skyscrapers. They're essentially vertical cities, and we work and live in them despite the risk of fire, structural failure, or even terrorist attacks." A gasp rippled through the audience. Sarah pressed on. "The sidewalks are full of potential hazards, uneven surfaces to trip on, overhead signs that could fall, not to mention the risk of being struck by debris from construction sites." She zoomed in on a food vendor. "Even our food can be dangerous. Food poisoning, allergic reactions, choking. These are risks we face with every meal." The holographic student from the previous lecture flickered agitatedly. "Professor Chen, how do humans function under such constant threat? Surely your species must be paralyzed by fear." Sarah's laugh was warm and genuine. "On the contrary, most humans go about their day barely thinking about these risks. We've developed something called calculated risk assessment. We understand the dangers exist, but we weigh them against the benefits and make informed decisions." She changed the display to show a group of humans engaged in various activities: rock climbing, skydiving, deep-sea diving. In fact, many humans actively seek out danger for recreation. We call these extreme sports. Professor Zixlera's scales rippled in disbelief. "You endanger yourselves. For fun." "Absolutely." Sarah grinned. "The adrenaline rush, the thrill of conquering fear, these are experiences many humans crave. But let's move on to something a bit more universal." The display changed to show a fiery ball of gas. "This is our sun. Like many stars, it occasionally releases bursts of radiation and charged particles in what we call solar flares. These can disrupt our communications, damage satellites, and in extreme cases, pose a threat to our power grids." A crystalline being chimed in, its facets reflecting the image of the sun. "Surely your people live underground to protect themselves from such cosmic threats." Sarah shook her head. "Not at all. We've developed early warning systems and protective measures for our technology, but for the most part, life goes on as usual. In fact," she added with a mischievous glint in her eye, "some humans deliberately expose themselves to our sun's radiation in a practice we call sunbathing." The alien students exchanged glances of horror and fascination. How could any species be so nonchalant about such dangers? "But perhaps the most pervasive danger," Sarah continued, her tone growing serious, "is invisible to the naked eye." The display changed to show a microscopic view of various bacteria and viruses. "Earth is teeming with microorganisms, many of which can cause disease. We're constantly at war with these invisible enemies, developing new medicines and treatments as they evolve and adapt." A multi-limbed being raised an appendage. "How does your species survive with such persistent threats? Surely your population must be in constant decline." Sarah's smile was enigmatic. "On the contrary, despite all these dangers, or perhaps because of them, humanity has thrived. Our population has grown exponentially over the past few centuries. We've extended our average lifespan, reduced infant mortality, and even eradicated some diseases entirely." She paused, letting her words sink in. "You see, it's not just about survival. It's about adaptation, innovation, and an unwavering determination to not just live, but to live well." The alien students sat in stunned silence, trying to reconcile the image of a death world with the thriving civilization Sarah described. "But how?" The question came from a small, furry creature in the front row, its voice barely above a whisper. "How do you manage all this?" Sarah's expression softened. "That's an excellent question. The answer lies in a uniquely human trait, our ability to cooperate on a massive scale. We form communities, pool our resources, and work together to overcome challenges that would be insurmountable for individuals. She brought up a new display, showing scenes of human cooperation. Firefighters battling blazes, scientists in laboratories, volunteers distributing aid after natural disasters. When faced with danger, humans don't just fight or flee. We innovate. We problem solve. We support each other. It's this combination of individual resilience and collective action that has allowed us to not just survive on our death world, but to build civilizations, create art, explore the cosmos, and yes, even visit other worlds. A ripple of astonishment ran through the audience. Many of the alien students were beginning to look at the human professor with a new respect, tinged with a hint of awe. But don't think for a moment that we've conquered our world, Sarah cautioned. Earth continues to challenge us every day. Natural disasters still occur. New diseases emerge. Our own technological advancements sometimes create new risks. But each challenge is an opportunity for growth, for learning, for becoming better. She looked around the room, meeting the gaze, or sensory equivalent, of each student. And that, class, is perhaps the most important lesson Earth has taught us. In a universe full of wonders and terrors, the most valuable skill is not the ability to avoid danger, but the courage and creativity to face it head-on. As Sarah concluded her lecture, the alien students sat in contemplative silence. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive species struggling to survive on a hostile world. Instead, they found themselves reevaluating their own definitions of strength, resilience, and what it truly means to thrive. And as they filed out of the lecture hall, many couldn't help but wonder. In a galaxy full of comfortable, safe worlds, could it be that the real cradle of future innovation and exploration was this blue marble called Earth, forged in adversity and tempered by constant challenge? The next lecture promised to delve even deeper into the human psyche, and despite their trepidation, the students found themselves eagerly anticipating what other revelations awaited them about these fascinating, terrifying creatures called humans. From disbelief to understanding, the Grand Lecture Hall of the Galactic Academy was filled to capacity as alien students eagerly awaited the third installment of Professor Sarah Chen's lecture series on Earth. The air buzzed with excited chatter, a mix of disbelief, fascination, and growing admiration. As Sarah took her place at the podium, a respectful hush fell over the room. Even Professor Zixlara, who had been visibly shaken by the previous lectures, now leaned forward with keen interest. "Welcome back, everyone," Sarah began, her voice warm but tinged with a hint of seriousness. In our previous sessions, we've explored the myriad dangers that Earth presents. Today, we're going to delve into how these challenges have shaped human development and our place in the galaxy. She activated the holographic display, showing a timeline of human history. Our journey from primitive hunter-gatherers to a spacefaring civilization has been marked by constant adaptation to our environment. A tentacled student near the front raised an appendage. "Professor Chen, how did your species manage to progress technologically while constantly battling for survival? Surely, the energy expended on mere existence would preclude scientific advancement." Sarah's smile was knowing. "An excellent question. The truth is, our harsh environment didn't hinder our progress. It accelerated it. Each challenge we faced became a catalyst for innovation." She zoomed in on various points in the timeline, highlighting key inventions and discoveries. Take our medical advancements, for instance. The constant threat of disease pushed us to develop everything from vaccines to gene therapy. Our dangerous wildlife led to the creation of antivenoms and a deep understanding of biology. The holographic student flickered thoughtfully. "But surely, Professor, other species have faced challenges and developed technologies. What makes Earth's influence unique?" "The key," Sarah explained, "lies in the diversity and intensity of our challenges. Earth isn't just a planet with one or two major hazards. It's a world where danger comes in countless forms, forcing us to be adaptable and creative in our problem-solving." She brought up images of various Earth environments, from scorching deserts to frozen tundras, dense jungles to barren mountains. Humans have found ways to not just survive, but thrive in every corner of our world. This adaptability has bred a kind of resilience and innovation that's rare in the galaxy. A crystalline being chimed in, its facets reflecting the holographic images. But at what cost, Professor? Surely such constant struggle must have stunted your species' cultural and artistic development. Sarah's laugh was warm and genuine. On the contrary, our art, literature, and music are deeply influenced by our struggles. We create beauty in defiance of danger, find meaning in our challenges, and express our hopes and fears through our culture. She displayed examples of human art, cave paintings depicting hunts, Renaissance masterpieces exploring the human condition, modern works grappling with technological anxieties. Our culture isn't separate from our struggles. It's a product of them, a way of processing and transcending our challenges. The alien students murmured in amazement, many seeing human achievements in a new light. But perhaps the most significant impact, Sarah continued, her tone growing more serious, has been on our psychology and social structures. She brought up new images, showing human cooperation in various forms, from ancient hunting parties to modern global organizations. The constant dangers of our world taught us a crucial lesson early in our development. We are stronger together. A multi-eyed being blinked in confusion. But Professor, wouldn't scarce resources and constant threats lead to conflict rather than cooperation? Sarah nodded approvingly. A logical assumption, and indeed, human history is not without its conflicts. But time and again, we've found that our greatest achievements come through collaboration. We've learned to form complex societies, to specialize and divide labor, to create systems of governance and cooperation that allow us to tackle challenges no individual could face alone. She zoomed out on the timeline, showing the rapid acceleration of human progress over the past few centuries. This ability to cooperate at scale, combined with our adaptability and innovation, led to what we call the Industrial Revolution, and later, the Information Age. In a mere blink of cosmic time, we went from horse-drawn carriages to spacecraft. The alien students sat in stunned silence, trying to comprehend the pace of human advancement. But surely, Professor Zixlera interjected, her scales shimmering with a mix of emotion. Such rapid progress must have come at a great cost to your planet. Sarah's expression turned somber. You're absolutely right, Professor. Our advancement has not been without consequences. We've faced and continue to face significant environmental challenges, many of our own making. She displayed images of pollution, deforestation, and climate change. These are battles we're still fighting, problems we're working to solve. But even here, our history of overcoming challenges gives us hope. We're developing clean energy technologies, finding ways to repair and preserve ecosystems, and fundamentally rethinking our relationship with our planet. A small furry creature in the front row chirped hesitantly. Professor Chen, given all you've told us about Earth's dangers and humanity's resilience, how do humans view other worlds and species in the galaxy? Sarah's smile returned, warm and thoughtful. Another excellent question. Our experiences on Earth have given us a unique perspective on the galaxy. We're endlessly curious about other worlds and cultures, eager to learn and exchange knowledge. She paused, choosing her words carefully. But I won't sugarcoat it. Our history also makes us cautious. We've learned to be prepared for the unexpected, to never underestimate a potential threat. This can sometimes make us appear aggressive or paranoid to other species. The alien students shifted uncomfortably, some remembering the initial fears they'd had about having a Deathworlder on campus. However, Sarah continued, her voice filled with passion. Our experiences have also taught us the value of diversity, of different perspectives and approaches. We're excited by the possibilities of galactic cooperation, of combining our unique strengths with those of other species to tackle challenges that affect us all. She looked around the room, meeting the gaze of each student. In many ways, Humanity's journey has prepared us for this moment, to step out into a galaxy full of wonders and potential dangers, ready to face whatever challenges await us among the stars. As Sarah concluded her lecture, the alien students sat in contemplative silence. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive, struggling species. Instead, they found themselves reevaluating their understanding of strength, resilience, and the very nature of civilization. Many of them realized that they were witnessing a pivotal moment in galactic history. Humanity, forged in the crucible of Earth's dangers, was stepping onto the cosmic stage. And while that thought filled some with trepidation, many more found themselves filled with excitement and hope for the future. As they filed out of the lecture hall, the students buzzed with discussion, eagerly anticipating the next session and wondering what other revelations awaited them about these fascinating, terrifying, inspiring creatures called humans. The true nature of humanity. The anticipation in the grand lecture hall of the Galactic Academy was palpable as the alien students filed in for the fourth session of Professor Sarah Chen's lecture series on Earth. The previous lectures had shattered their preconceptions about humanity, and many wondered what revelations this session would bring. As Sarah took her place at the podium, a reverent hush fell over the room. Even Professor Zixlara, who had initially been skeptical, now watched with rapt attention, her scales shimmering with excitement. "Welcome back, everyone," Sarah began, her voice filled with warmth and a hint of pride. "In our previous sessions, we've explored the challenges humans face on Earth and how they've shaped our development. Today, we're going to delve into the true nature of humanity, our achievements, our potential, and what it means for the galaxy." She activated the holographic display, showing a montage of human accomplishments, from the first flight at Kitty Hawk to the International Space Station, from the eradication of smallpox to the development of artificial intelligence. "These are just a few examples of what humanity has achieved in the face of adversity," Sarah explained. "But what I want you to understand is that these accomplishments aren't despite the challenges we face. They're because of them." A multi-limbed being raised an appendage. "Professor Chen, how can danger and hardship lead to such remarkable progress? It seems counterintuitive." Sarah smiled. "An excellent observation. The key lies in a uniquely human trait, our ability to see problems not just as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth and innovation." She brought up a new image, showing the structure of DNA. Take our understanding of genetics, for instance. The constant threat of disease pushed us to unravel the mysteries of our own biology. This knowledge not only helped us combat illnesses, but also opened up new frontiers in medicine, agriculture, and even computing. The holographic student flickered thoughtfully. "But surely, Professor, other species in the galaxy have made scientific discoveries. What sets human achievements apart?" "The difference," Sarah explained, "is often in our approach and the speed of our progress. Humans have a remarkable ability to make intuitive leaps, to connect seemingly unrelated ideas in novel ways. We're not always the most methodical species, but we excel at thinking outside the box." She displayed a timeline of human technological advancement, highlighting the exponential growth over the past century. "What you're seeing here is not just progress, but acceleration. Each discovery, each innovation, builds upon the last, creating a snowball effect of advancement." A crystalline being chimed in, its facets reflecting the holographic images. "Professor, this rate of progress is unsettling. How do humans cope with such rapid change?" Sarah's expression turned thoughtful. "That's a perceptive question. The truth is, we don't always cope well. Our technology often outpaces our ability to fully understand its implications. This creates new challenges, ethical, social, and environmental, that we must grapple with." She brought up images of climate change protests, debates over AI ethics, and social media's impact on society. These are battles we're still fighting, problems we're working to solve. But even here, our history of overcoming challenges gives us an edge. We're learning to anticipate the consequences of our actions, to think in terms of systems and long-term impacts. The alien students murmured in a mix of awe and concern, many realizing the full implications of having such a rapidly advancing species join the galactic community. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of humanity, Sarah continued, her voice filled with passion, is our ability to imagine and strive for a better future, even in the face of overwhelming odds. She displayed images of human explorations, deep-sea submersibles, Antarctic research stations, Mars rovers. We are, at our core, explorers and dreamers. We look at the impossible and say, let's make it possible. This drive has taken us from caves to the cusp of becoming a multi-planetary species in a cosmic blink of an eye. A small furry creature in the front row chirped hesitantly. Professor Chen, given humanity's remarkable progress and resilience, how do you view your place in the galactic community? Sarah's smile was warm but tinged with seriousness. Another excellent question. Our experiences on Earth have given us a unique perspective. We're eager to learn from other species, to share knowledge and collaborate. But we're also prepared for challenges and committed to carving out our place among the stars. She paused, choosing her words carefully. I won't pretend that humanity is perfect. We can be aggressive, impatient, and sometimes short-sighted. Our history is marked not just by great achievements, but also by conflicts and mistakes. But it's crucial to understand that these traits, our aggression, our impatience, our ability to make mistakes and learn from them, are intrinsically linked to our greatest strengths. The alien students shifted, some uncomfortable with the implications, others leaning in with fascination. Our aggression drives us to tackle seemingly insurmountable problems head-on. Our impatience pushes us to find faster, more efficient solutions. Our mistakes teach us resilience and adaptability. In short, the very traits that make us dangerous are also what make us invaluable allies and innovators. Sarah looked around the room, meeting the gaze of each student. As we step out into the galaxy, we bring with us not just our technology and our knowledge, but our indomitable spirit, our creativity, and our unwavering determination to create a better future, not just for ourselves, but for all sentient life. She brought up a final image, a view of Earth from space, a fragile blue marble suspended in the void. This is our homeworld, the crucible that forged us. But our true home is out there, among the stars. We're ready to face whatever challenges the universe has in store, to work alongside other species, to push the boundaries of what's possible. As Sarah concluded her lecture, the alien students sat in stunned silence. They had come expecting to learn about a primitive species struggling to survive on a hostile world. Instead, they found themselves face to face with a civilization poised to reshape the very fabric of galactic society. Many realized that they were witnessing a turning point in cosmic history. Humanity, with all its flaws and strengths, was stepping onto the galactic stage. And while that thought filled some with trepidation, many more found themselves filled with excitement and hope for the future. As they filed out of the lecture hall, the students buzzed with discussion. Some debated the potential impacts of human involvement in galactic affairs. Others wondered about the possibilities of collaboration and cultural exchange. But all of them, without exception, eagerly anticipated the final session, wondering what other revelations awaited them about these fascinating, terrifying, inspiring creatures called humans.